We covered the work of Fergus Hume all the way back in episode 20. The Gentleman Who Vanished, a psychological fantasy from 1890, concerns Adrian Lancaster. He's playing cards with his friend Trevanna, who makes odious comments about Adrian's fiancée Olive, so Adrian decks him with a decanter. Thinking he killed him, Adrian runs off and winds up in Hampstead. There he makes his way inside an open door and finds himself in the house of Dr. Rovesmeyer. The doctor uses his mesmeric powers to hold Adrian in place and force him to tell him what happened. Rovesmeyer, who actually secretly knows and loves his fiancée Olive, convinces Adrian to hide his spirit in Rovesmeyer's body, while he hides Adrian's body in a secret room behind the fireplace, until the whole murder affair thing should blow over. Now you'd think, especially as he privately says to himself he wants to teach Olive a lesson, that Rovesmeyer will possess Adrian's body to try and assume his role and force Adrian to watch trapped inside the doctor's body. But no, the body just stays in a trance the entire time and Rovesmeyer's just dead apparently. While Olive, hearing about Rovesmeyer's spiritist abilities, asks Adrian in Rovesmeyer's body to help her find Adrian, aka himself. Thinking Rovesmeyer murdered Adrian to get him out of the way, Olive finds Adrian's body in the secret room, and Adrian, to avoid being hanged for his own murder and then waking up in his own body inside his coffin to suffocate to death again, poisons himself, that is Rovesmeyer, and wakes up as himself. It feels a bit thin on the ground, and the build-up of Dr. Rovesmeyer as this big sinister manipulator seems pointless, since Hume forgets about it right away. We covered the work of Vincent O'Sullivan in episode 307. His The Green Window from 1899 is really bad. It is almost entirely a collection of would-be witty remarks and philosophical meanderings, including a truly sociopathic diatribe about how you should only help people who cannot be successful in the same field as you, and keep them at arm's length and only drip-feed them enough support to keep them continuously in your pocket and dependent on you forever. There were two actual stories here. The story of a woman being stripped naked and stoned out of town for being pregnant without being married, before returning years later with a companion, maybe her son, who whips the hell out of the woman's erstwhile lover who also took part in her beating. Will, the only supernatural story in the book, is a pretty grim and sinister affair of a man hating his wife so much he slowly wills her to die, but who is then pursued by her spirit from beyond the grave in the form of a beetle crawling from her mausoleum, before he too is laid in the crypt beside her. This actually being well written and not self-aggrandizing hot air as practically the rest of the book is almost a miracle. We covered the work of Hermann Esswein in episodes 295 and 599. The Schrittmacher and Anderes from 1908 contains a few stories, though mostly unserious and a bit meandering and tedious. The title story, whose title The Pacers, refers apparently to motor-padded / pacer bicycles, popular in racing in the early 1900s, has a man outraged at the sensationalist reaction of a crowd at seeing a bike crash on the track. The stairwell concerns a man who, after getting blown off by someone, discovers he can float and floats about the stairwell, the implication being he went loopy. The Wonderful has an emaciated German magician get on stage to make objects float and levitate himself around the room, but ends up dying when someone offers him a cigarette and the nicotine kills him. Wanda's Burial has a young woman murdered at a brothel and her dazed mother following the hearse. The Green Butterfly concerns a man's discovery of a green butterfly, which confounds all the lepidopterologist authorities until he unveils he literally willed it into existence precisely because green butterflies are impossible. Now I would like to respectfully divert your attention to the description of this video, where you will find a link to the GoFundMe, where we are currently gathering funds for basic survival needs like groceries and medicine, as well as for potential legal aid, in the ongoing quest to secure ourselves some sort of financial aid in this difficult financial situation. We also have a PayPal link if you wish to donate directly, so any and all help would be immensely appreciated.